the global semiconductor chip shortage ended up forcing a lot of these massive car manufacturers to cut manufacturing in 2021 and even in 2020 as global supply chains weaken. This is something that's very, very interesting. We're going to be talking about all this and more and what it means for investing as far as looking at certain choke points. So let's get right into it. Well, as you may know, if you're interested in, cars in general or the automotive industry, if you follow this, if you're invested in some stocks, as I know some of you are, a lot of these larger companies, Ford, GM, Volkswagen, Toyota even, ended up having to cut manufacturing because of this issue. Now, what I talk about in a lot of these videos is some people look at investing in certain companies and basically you're betting on a horse. Who's going to win at the end of the race? Just like in the EV example, I talked about this just a couple of days ago. What are the companies in electric vehicles? You have NIO, you have Tesla, you have Nikola, these kind of, I would say maybe the top three in the space. So either you could bet on which horse will win at the end of the race, if you're looking 10, 20, 30 years down the road, okay, who's going to be the biggest? Most likely, in my opinion, Tesla, but I think a lot of people think this. Or you could look at what are the underlying components? What's kind of the choke point in this investment? In that case, with EVs, it's the battery component. So it was the commodities. I talked about why I was buying lithium, nickel, and cobalt, because not only are these necessary for 5G, but it's also in electric vehicle batteries. So just like this with EVs, in the more traditional, I would say, legacy car industry with these companies I mentioned, they all need one thing: semiconductor chips. And the interesting thing here is maybe you're not able to invest directly in semiconductor chips, but there are two countries that are kind of the choke point for this whole supply chain. And a lot of people don't know this. For all these cars to get manufactured on a global scale, and a lot of people don't understand, there's these other companies like Skoda in France and kind of more European cars that maybe more, I would say, people in America or Canada aren't that familiar with. But, or for example, I'm here in Istanbul, Turkey, and there's different cars that a lot of people don't see. But pretty much all cars need this semiconductor chip. And as we're talking about, when you see this choke point, just like with EVs, they need these three commodities. And that's why I personally invest in these three commodities, because I see this as a long-term play. No matter which company emerges, they all need this one thing. So this is like a choke point. And you don't want to see choke point as a negative thing in this. This is like, I guess you could call it an investment thesis. So this is like, if you're forming a thesis around the electrical vehicle industry or the, for example, the blockchain space, what's the choke point there? Well, most blockchain companies need mining equipment. So some people found that choke point very, very early in 2010, and it paid off in dividends, or you could say in Bitcoins. But in this case, the choke point is South Korea and Taiwan. Now, they take up the majority of semiconductor chip manufacturing. So when there's a global supply chain issue and you're not able to get to these countries to import and export from, to get to America, to get to Germany, all these different places, from Taiwan and South Korea, more when you're looking at the global scale, okay, this is like the Southeast Asia area, this is a huge issue. So maybe setting up an investment thesis, and I've personally done my own research on this. I always talk about that in the video down below in the description, how you can kind of go about researching a company that's developing these chips. So again, this is something that you have to lean on if you're any of these massive companies, and they're massively undervalued because not a lot of people look at them. This isn't what gets the most clicks or gets the most press attention, because people are more worried about, oh, is it going to be Tesla, or is it going to be NIO, or is it going to be Nikola, or is it going to be Amazon, or is it going to be Facebook, blah, blah, blah. What matters is these choke points. If you're really interested in getting a really, really, I would say, competitive advantage in the investment space, this is kind of a framework you want to start applying to industries. So when everyone's betting on which horse will win the race, you got to go, okay, what do each of those horses need to run the race? That's where you kind of start. That's kind of like the beginning of, I would say, kind of like wisdom, or a new kind of sort of investment thesis, is starting to go, okay, what's the contrarian play? What aren't people looking at? What's kind of hiding in plain sight? Okay, all the horse jockeys are wearing the same brand of helmet. Maybe I should invest in that versus investing just in one individual horse. So, and it's not even necessarily saying that you can't invest in all the horses, or like obviously one main horse, and then also invest in what that horse is wearing. So I hope you get the analogy there. Like with these car companies, a lot of people don't look at, okay, where are they getting the rubber for the tires? Where are they getting the key components? And that's where the semiconductors are. And again, the choke point here is these two countries, Taiwan and South Korea. So I will let you have that information. Take with it what you will. You know, if you want to maybe form an investment thesis, maybe research more into that, go ahead. If you want to see, you know, maybe my picks on this space, let me know in the comments down below. I'd be happy to make a video on that. Talking about emerging market investing is, I would kind of classify this style of investment because you're not necessarily investing in an individual car company, but rather you're investing in a company in these countries that are more emerging. South Korea is not as emerging. Taiwan, and most of the Southeast Asian countries are more emerging markets, but just all depends how you look at things. So anyways, open up your investment perspective. Don't just look at investing in one country. That's really what this channel is all about, investing globally, not just focusing on stocks, not just focusing on cryptocurrency, not just focusing on commodity, but looking at the whole gamut of investment sectors, everything from real estate, alternative asset classes, and pretty much everything we mentioned here. So that's pretty much it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, like, subscribe, button all, invest global, and until next time.